Good morning, everyone. My name is Lynda Clark. I am the editor of First Time Buyer magazine, and I'd like to welcome everyone who's listening today. This is our podcast on buying a new build home. A lot of first time buyers do go for new builds, but we're going to find out all the information that you could possibly need to know why a new build is a good idea. And I'm welcoming Marc Woolfe, who's Sales and Marketing Director for Barratt, David Wilson, North Thames. Good morning, Marc.
Good morning, Lynda. Thank you so much for having me on today. I've been really excited about this, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. And I really hope I'm able to help in some way support some first-time buyers getting onto the housing ladder.
That's exactly what we're all wanting to do. This whole series of podcasts is really celebrating National Home Buying Week, which is running from the 2nd to the 6th of October. And it gives you masses of information and help to guide you through that, what can sometimes be a bit of a daunting home buying process. We want to make it simple and easy and make your journey as enjoyable as it possibly can
Absolutely.
be. So, Marc, can you just, start off and just tell us a little bit about Barratt, David Wilson, North Thames, what area you cover, and obviously you've got a lot of developments in that region. If you could just explain.
Of course I can, yeah. So, overall, Barratt David Wilson Homes will build across the country, but we've got separate divisions. And like you say, I work for the North Thames division, which is based in Watford. And our developments, span the breadth of Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire. So we've got some real flagship developments with over 2,000 homes, and we've also got developments that come with the size of 1 to 200. So we really vary in the size of the developments that we build.
Brilliant, lovely. So obviously a lot of first-time buyers are wanting to get on the ladder. Deposits Absolutely. Are always a bit of an issue, and if you really hanker after an older second-hand home, what do you think the pros are of actually thinking a new build might be preferable?
I think it's a massive question, Lynda, and obviously I'll try and be as brief as possible, and we can maybe go into more detail. I think first things first, when you're considering a new build property, you've got to think of the energy efficiencies that come. So, very, very quickly, you can save up to 64% per annum on your energy bills, which is a real consideration when you're buying your first home. In addition to that, you've got the sustainability elements of buying a new home. So not only the technology that's put into the home itself, but also the development you're buying from. We'll have open space areas, we'll have hedgehog highways and back boxes. So we really build with sustainability in mind. But then you've got other points. It's hassle-free, or as hassle-free as possible. Renovation costs. When you buy a second-hand home, you're buying, in essence, somebody else's potential problems. So new boiler or new bathroom. So there's costs associated with that. And I think the final thing is around the schemes available. So when you're buying a new property, you may get government schemes that help, but also you may have schemes that will help from the developer. And Barratt definitely offer some great schemes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I personally have only ever bought new build. I'm not a DIY.
My ears, Lynda.
Yeah, I'm not a DIYer, and I think the trouble is, of course, is that employing builders to come in and do work is not only costly, but obviously, it's very, very haphazard, because builders are renowned for not turning up on time, or coming for 2 days and disappearing.
And all the cups of tea you need to make them while they're there.
That is a nightmare. Actually, that's very funny, because I did have a painter come in to do some work, and he had, I don't know how many cups of tea a day, 6 sugars. Honestly, I ran out of sugar many times. So tell us a little bit about these incentives, because I think first-time buyers would be very, very keen to know about that.
Of course. So incentives can come in a variety of ways. So if we start off with non-financial incentives, when you buy a new build property, there will be certain elements of the specification that may not be included that you may have thought would be included, varying by developer. So some developers may not offer flooring as standard to the property. So you would move in on day one and have to floor the property yourself. There will be developers then that will offer incentives, for example, to pay for the flooring or to upgrade your kitchens or bathroom tiles and so on and so forth. And part of the beauty of buying a new home is that opportunity to customize and make it your own. I think what our first time buyers probably want to hear is more about the financial incentives that you get when buying a new home. So obviously with stamp duty, if it's under the £425,000 mark, you won't pay stamp duty. No. But if you're buying a home over £425,000, you may well be able to negotiate some stamp duty contributions from a developer. On top of that, you've got mortgage contributions or deposit contributions. In essence, the developer is saying, here's a pot of cash, and that will come off your final account. And that will vary. The size of that incentive you're able to negotiate will vary on the property you're buying, the location, the sales rate on that side. But it is definitely the right thing to do when you're coming to the point where you've found the property you want to ask what incentives they have available. Because if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's the obvious saying. Yeah. I think on top of that, there are also schemes available that that can be offered across the country. So we don't offer this in our division, but in other divisions, certainly they do, is the First Home Scheme, which is a government-backed scheme. And that's for homes up to £250,000 after the 30% discount has been provided. And again, speak to your local development. If that's what they're offering, you may well be able to take advantage. We're also, this is hot off the press, we're also offering a new scheme as of Monday, the 25th of September. And it's going to be called the Rent Then Buy scheme. And we're offering it as part of a trial within 4 divisions within Barratt. And in essence, if you have a 2.5% deposit, you will then be able to rent the property off us for 6 months. And those rental payments will go towards saving a 5% deposit. So for those people that are struggling just getting that next step in their deposit because they're paying out on rent, why not rent the house that you're buying from us? And then you'll be able to get your 95% mortgage. So again, more detail will follow on that. That's hot off the press, but I think that's a great scheme. And I'm proud to say that Barratt are introducing that.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing because, a lot of people do struggle with high rents, private high rents. Absolutely. So you might as well, as you say, live in your own home, rent it for a bit and save, and it's yours. Amazing. There we go. And do you do anything for key workers?
Absolutely. So we do have the key workers incentive, and again, something I'm really proud that Barratt are involved with. So if you are classed as a key worker, and there's obviously terms and conditions behind that, then you will qualify for on whichever property that qualifies a 5% cash incentive. And then further incentives towards flooring. So you'll end up with a really great deal. So if you are a key worker, do not hesitate. Get yourself down to your local Barratt development and find out what you can purchase.
So are both of the Rent Then Buy and the key worker schemes available on all Barratt developments?
No. So the Rent Then Buy scheme will be available as part of a trial in the 4 divisions that are trialling it in the southern region. So Barratt, in essence, are looking to see how this rolls out, whether it's successful or not. So we'll only know if people, once we roll it out and people, people go on to purchase from us. But we're confident it will be. I think it will take some time for everyone to be understanding of it and how it really works. But the theory behind it definitely is really positive. Really, and the key worker discount, though, generally is applicable across the country. So don't hesitate to contact your local developer, because I'm sure you'll be able to take advantage.
And just remind me, do Barratts have developments sort of right from the north right down to the south?
Absolutely. If there's land available within England, Scotland and Wales, we're looking for it. So there are developments absolutely that I'm sure will be within a commutable distance from where you currently are. So
absolutely great. So obviously from your own experience, what do you think your typical first-time buyer Barratt person is like? What's their, what is their persona? What is their financial situation, etc.?
So if you asked me this question 5 5 years ago, you'd be in one camp. Now we're seeing first time buyers, average age maybe going from the 20s into the 30s, if not 40s, and even older. So I think there is no stereotype for a first time buyer now. And I think it's really important that we understand that the language you use to first time buyers, it's not one particular category. It can be any category. So a typical first time buyer for us is no more. It's anyone who comes in.
It's just anybody, and it's extraordinary really that people I don't think they know enough that they can be a first time buyer when you're that age, if you're 40, 50. But the world's your oyster, really.
Absolutely. And like I say, these schemes, there are certain schemes, there's certain mortgages. And again, I'm not the expert on mortgages, but if you speak to the right people, there are certain schemes available just for first time buyers that anybody can benefit from as long as they are qualified as a first time buyer. So really reach out and get the right advice would be my advice.
And so you build apartments and houses, don't you? So can you just explain, are the apartments leasehold or freehold?
Yeah, generally speaking, again, I can't comment for all the country, but generally speaking, our apartments will be sold as leasehold. From a Barratt point of view, they all come with a 999-year lease, which, in essence is fantastic, because a concern historically when buying leasehold properties is that they're on a short lease, and therefore you're going to have to spend a lot of money extending those leases. When you have a 999-year lease, that's a lot of security. And personally, I bought a Barratt apartment with 999-year lease, so I can only be passionate about it. Obviously, that comes with a service charge generally when you have a lease, and a management charge. So please speak to your local developer and understand what those are, because when you're getting qualified for a mortgage, they need to understand what those charges.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. I mean, this is again with an older home. The lease might be nowhere near 999 years.
It could be 50, 60 years to go,
and then you're in trouble because, as far as I understand, you have to renew it pretty soon. Absolutely. When you get that sort of 60 years. Yeah. And that can be quite costly.
It's very costly. It's time consuming. You have to employ a solicitor to do that work. But also from a resale point of view, and you have to think most first-time buyers buy with that in mind, that they need to resell within the next number of years to be able to purchase maybe a bigger property or however that's going to work. So you want to make everything as hassle-free as possible, and having to extend a lease pretty soon after you move in it's not an ideal position. Not when you're busy with work or you're having children or all the usual stuff that goes on when you buy your new property.
100%, definitely. And what about location? Do you think people are now thinking, because now we've kind of had the whole COVID situation and people wanted more space, they wanted outdoor space. Do you think people are looking for that, or are they looking just to be near a train station or shops? I mean, or does everything,
I think you're going to hear me a lot sitting on the fence, because it varies. Straight after COVID, there was a real race for space. We all know that. It was very much, can we get out of the city into an area where there's great open space and so on and so forth. We're sort of seeing it coming back to somewhere in the middle. You've still got people race for space, looking for developments with large open space, but they still want to be within commutable distances to your local train stations or bus stops, or or good car infrastructure. So I'd say somewhere in the middle is where we're seeing it right now.
I think that's right. And I suspect that your apartments have balconies, do they?
Yeah, generally speaking. So I actually say to our technical team when we're building apartments, don't give me any apartments without balconies, because I live in an apartment with a balcony, and I don't think I'd have survived through the COVID times. But even now, I just don't think I would have survived without a balcony. So ultimately, it's people's preference. People might not want a balcony, but I would really recommend, if you can get one, you've got to go for 100%.
Just opening the door and being able to step outside, even in the winter, just having that fresh air just for Saturday morning cup of coffee, it's really important. Absolutely. And then I think probably all new builds come with guarantees. Yeah,
so you all, generally speaking, a new build will be signed up to an industry warranty system. So we're signed up with the NHBC. within Barratt. So what that means is when we complete in a property with you, you will get instantly a 10-year structural warranty. Excellent. And again, it's really important that you understand what that means when you're purchasing a new home. Then different developers will have their own internal fixtures and fittings warranties, and we have our own 2-year warranty. What that means is if anything goes wrong within property in those first 2 years that can't be deemed as your fault. So, for example, a door handle is faulty. We'll come in within those 2 years and replace it absolutely hassle-free, because that's the right thing to do. So that shows the confidence we have in our own properties that we'll give you a 2-year warranty, because generally speaking, you don't have that many issues.
No, and also I suspect they all come with integrated appliances in the kitchen.
That will vary again on the build stage and the specification of the property that you're going for. So generally speaking, yes, either they will come with integrated appliances, or you can negotiate that as part of your deal, or you can purchase that as an added extra. So again, that will vary when you're on site with the sales team. So if they don't come with the integrated appliances, they will come with a space for those appliances, because a lot of people now actually bring over their own washing machine or their own different appliances. So it will vary plot by plot.
And flooring, what happens with flooring?
So again, it will vary plot by plot. So in the current market conditions, where you'll find that houses aren't selling as quickly as they were in the heyday, you'll find that a lot of developers are actually flooring properties either as an incentive, or they're already at build stage when you're buying. That means the flooring is in. So generally speaking, yes, properties will be floored. But if you're buying a property that might not be ready for 6 to 9 months, it may well be that there is no flooring included, and you have to think about that as an added cost if you're not able to negotiate that as part of the deal at reservation stage. So again, varies, but generally speaking, you'll have flooring included.
So, I mean, if you do get all these things, then actually that's going to save you a huge amount of money.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. I think a first-time buyer may not understand where and who to speak to for the right advice. And you may not realise just the amount of cost. If you're moving into a second-hand home, you may want to refloor it, redecorate it, put your new kitchen in, put your new bathroom in, etc., etc. That could cost you up to £70,000 if you're putting a second-hand home into a new home. From a new build point of view, it's all there. It's already for you. So
absolutely.
Take advantage.
You just put some furniture down and off you go. You haven't got to.
I still remember that day. Walking in my first brand new home, and still no better feeling.
Oh, it's amazing. There's nothing quite like putting the key in the door.
Absolutely.
I love it. And do you have financial people that people can go? Because I'm very keen that first-time buyers get a sort of snapshot of what they can actually afford. Because
absolutely. This is the most important element of the journey. And I've tried to not be over sales person for Barratt, which is hard for me, because obviously I want to, but this is about giving general advice. If I can give one piece of really important advice, is understand what your affordability is. And the way that you do that is speak to a nominated financial advisor. So somebody who's reputable, somebody who you can trust. So either speak to your local developer, they will pass you some contact details of really good financial advisors, or alternatively, if you research online and get the right Trustpilot reviews and so on and so forth. So important, find out what you can afford.
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely imperative, because, the disappointment, if you see a home that you love and then you suddenly think, actually, we can't afford it.
It ends up being that nothing else compares, does it? So you'd rather, if you're going to Selfridges this weekend to go to do a bit of shopping, you'd rather know what's in your wallet than not, I guess. So otherwise you're picking up the wrong piece of clothing.
Definitely. And just sort of what are your views of the housing market at the moment, and where do you see it going, particularly with first-time buyers in mind?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. It's a bit of a crystal ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think ultimately what we've seen in the last couple of months is a bit more consistency in the market. So whilst we're not selling at the levels that we were doing, back in 2019, or the heyday, we are still selling at a good level. The key thing is, though, the interest remains. So week in, week out, we're getting a really high level of leads. And it's just about converting those people in whichever way that we can. So whether it's the schemes that we have, but where do I see the market going? Well, it all depends on the news, doesn't it? And all depends on whether the government are able to follow through with some of the promises. But I see a positive outlook. I don't see a negative outlook.
No.
That's for sure. No. The interest remains as high as ever.
Absolutely. I think if people really want a home, they will do it. And actually, we've said this before, that interest rates, I know they've gone up because they were very, very low for a very long time. Yeah. So they're probably about normal, but people don't realise that because they were so used to paying such a small amount of interest. But I think really now it's kind of pretty much getting to where it should be. Yeah.
I think the advice I always try to give to friends and family, so not people I'm selling to, friends, and that's the fairest advice you can give, is if you can afford that property and it's right for you, why hesitate? Because people were hesitating when interest rates were at 1%, thinking, the market's doing this and the market's doing that. You can talk yourself out of any decision, but the reality is you want to be in that home, you can afford it, it feels right. Why not take that jump?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think another piece of advice, would you agree, Mark, is set yourself a sort of budget for everything.
Agreed. Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. I think there's nothing worse than not being able to afford the property that you're in, and not being able to have the nice holidays or the car or whatever you need to be able to fund, what you're doing. There's, you don't want to go through the stress of that, but and that's why I go back to the advice I give my friends and family. If you can afford it, and that's a big subject. If you can afford it, then do it. But being able to afford something, you really need to consider what that means for you when you're buying.
Absolutely. And then just really finally, buying off plan. Do first time buyers buy off plan?
We do find that first time buyers do buy off plan. Obviously, it can be nerve wracking because you don't actually see the product that you're buying. But if you're looking at a company like Barratt, we may have a show home around the country. You may have to drive to another site, nearby or across the country. But if it's your dream home, you want to do it. So I think if you're buying off plan, it's so important you take your time, really understand what you're buying, get the drawings out with the sales advisor and really understand it. Don't leave any stone unturned. Ask all the questions that you need to ask, because they're there to help you. They are not there to get you out of the office. You need to ask the questions. But a lot of first time buyers will buy off plan because they've got the vision for it, and we've got enough technology to. You will have an understanding of what you're buying. Don't worry about buying off plan.
That's what I was going to say. With today's technology, you kind of see all sorts of things that years ago. The house that I live in, I bought off plan. I mean, many years ago, and there was no technology in those days. You just looked at a piece of paper, really.
So we still have that piece of paper because some people like to look at the floor plans, but we've got video walkthroughs, fly-throughs. We've got all sorts of technology. So don't be afraid about buying off plan, but make sure, keep repeating yourself, make sure you ask the questions that you need to understand. Where's your parking space? If you've got a garage, where is that? What's it going to look like? What bricks are on the house being built? Is there any render, etc., etc.? You want to understand all those points.
So important, and I think that's a really big piece of advice. Ask questions. Don't get overwhelmed. Just go in with a list. If you have to write it down, ask friends and family. What should I ask?
But Lynda, just to add to that, when you reserve a new build property, you go into a contract with that new build developer, where you then go into exchange of contracts. And I'm sure that's been explained previously, but during that time, that gives you another period of just, am I making the right decision?
Yes.
Have I got any more questions? So don't think, oh no, I've reserved the property, I can't ask any more questions. No, it's not about that. Actually, it now gives you that platform to ask all the questions. And those sales advisors are there to help you. That is their job, and they enjoy it, especially with first time buyers. There's something special about that relationship. They do really want to look after you.
I'm glad about that. I really like a lot of hand holding and no jargon.
Absolutely.
A lot of first time buyers have never experienced anything like this. It's a huge investment. But if you've got really good people that you could talk to that are going to be, guiding you around along the path. I think that's amazing. And I just think if you can say that your salespeople do this, it's brilliant.
Well, our Trustpilot reviews, they tell us that, and our survey results tell us that. I think it's really important also to note that there will be certain, and most of the new build developers will be signed up to the New Homes Quality Board, and that will give people confidence that there is, there's an expectation now. There is an absolute. It's more than an expectation. You must provide relevant information to all customers. So, if you don't feel you're getting that information that you need, you have an opportunity to make the relevant complaint. So we're being absolutely held accountable to provide the right information to all purchasers, but especially first-time buyers where they might feel a little bit vulnerable about the situation. It's we're there to help. I can't keep repeating it.
Good to know. That's brilliant. So have we got a website that you'd like to mention? Because I'm sure people might want to sort of have a look and see what Barratt's are all about.
Of course. I think, like I said before, it's really important once you know what you can afford and you're in that journey of looking at your, the properties you want to buy. If you just go on to either www.barratthomes.co.uk or www.dwh.co.uk, it then gives you the opportunity to search via location, type the location that you're looking at living in, and it will give you all the nearby developments. And then you can have a bit of a play, glass of wine on a school night, and have a look around and see what's available. You may not know all the developments that are in your local area. You might find a new area. You might be moving to a new area and not know the local area. So, just get on the website, have a play, and enjoy it. Most important thing is enjoy that search. There's nothing more enjoyable.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Mark. I think that's really given people a lot of help and information about buying a new build. I'd like to just remind everybody again that National Home Buying Week runs from the 2nd to the 6th of October. There's masses on our website to delve into. Hopefully you can, click on to the website and see all the podcasts, all the things that we're doing. It's very exciting. We just want to try and educate everybody as much as possible. So yes, our website is www.nationalhomebuyingweek.co.uk. Thank you.